3 months ago, Jason took a desperate step and left his family home, hoping to restore his own balance after the stunning events that had turned his world upside down. Taking his faithful four-legged friend, Max the dog, and the somewhat dim-witted yet amusing cat, Garfield, with him, he paid no heed to the rumors and objections of his ex-wife. Casting doubt on his decision, the cat's mishaps on the soft furniture, which belonged to him, soon became nothing more than a source of amusement for Jason, for he now realized that their pets were secondary. In reality, his wife couldn't stand the animals as much as his own presence. Indeed, all that family life he had never pondered before turned out to be a massive mistake, as he now finally understood. However, Jason was determined that hiding and shunning self-reflection could no longer be the solution. This separation from his ex-wife led to an incredible inner transformation for Jason, making him reflect on his own life. Still a student, he had made a fateful decision to marry Mary, unaware that this passion was the first of many of his grave mistakes. Love was passionate, but it soon became clear that Mary possessed not only beauty but also a sharp and unbalanced tongue, and family life remained far from a fairy tale. Later, twins, 2 girls, came into their marriage, and the care of the children was left to his wife and her mother. Jason delved into work, becoming a slave to his ambitious project, and grew increasingly distant from his daughters. Buying the perfect 3-bedroom apartment, he failed to notice how his wife's feelings for him began to wane, if they had ever existed at all. Over time, she started seeing him as a loser, devoid of prospects, barely tolerating his presence. After the divorce, Jason decided to change the direction of his life, leaving the job that, as he realized, did not appreciate his efforts. He lost his old job and became an engineer at a different company. Jason had no savings, as his wife had always handled the finances. He hadn't paid much attention to this before, but now he realized it was another of his blunders. Finding housing that allowed him to live with Max and Garfield was quite challenging, and he had to pay more for rent. Besides, his new salary left much to be desired. Jason found himself weakened and lonely. He fell ill, lying in his apartment, subdued by a high fever, and had no one to bring him even a cup of tea or offer support in his difficult moment. During this time, in the accounting department, the employees took a tea break and gathered to discuss the latest news. Someone mentioned accidentally that Jason Smith had fallen ill. "Do you think it's really terrible for that man? He's lying alone with a high fever," said a woman, extending her cup towards the thermos. "It seems like he's been having a rough time lately. Divorce, job loss, one misfortune after another, just a string of bad luck." Vera suddenly looked up and suggested, "Why don't we go visit him and offer support? Maybe we can help in some way." After their workday, the women decided to visit their colleague after all. They bought oranges and cake and headed to the address they obtained from the HR department. Jason was completely taken aback when he saw his colleagues at his door. He was fortunate they had warned him of their intention to come, and he managed to prepare and even trim his appearance. But his weakness was so overwhelming that he could barely move around the apartment. Ultimately, a group of women, including the head accountant, found themselves in Jason's 1-bedroom apartment. Shedding their coats and jackets, they filled the space with various scents and auras. The head accountant firmly headed to the kitchen to boil the kettle. The Labrador approached Vera and nudged her knee. "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Vera asked with concern. "Don't be afraid." Jason smiled. "He's friendly. Maybe you could take him for a walk? I'll take him out." "Don't worry, I've already walked him." "But you're sick. How can you go out in this cold?" Vera protested. "It will be fine. I'm feeling better already," Jason assured her, acknowledging her concern. Leaving the apartment, Vera handed her phone to Jason. "Call if you need anything. Don't hesitate." That same night, Jason made a call to Vera. "I hope I'm not causing you any extra trouble," he began. "Of course not. How can I help?" Vera replied. "I'd like to ask you something," Jason said. "Why do you need to know?" "I'm single. If that's what you're asking, why does it matter?" Vera was surprised. "What's this about?" The tone of the conversation became slightly tense. "Why do you need to know?" "I'm free, and I can do as I please. If I can help someone in a difficult situation, why not?" Vera and Jason continued their conversation, spending another 10 minutes talking. Then Vera wished him a good night and hung up. For 2 years, Jason remained in a state of divorce and didn't think about new relationships. He found comfort in living by himself, without a woman, and he felt at ease. However, after the divorce, Jason and Vera started dating, and their relationship grew stronger with each passing day. When Jason divorced his wife, Vera readily took on the responsibility for his dog and cat. She also didn't hesitate to take the cat into her home for her daughter's wedding. Vera's house became lively and cheerful, and she found joy in having a man by her side. Jason's career stabilized at work, and he was on an upward trajectory, becoming the head of his department. Vera became a grandmother, and they happily supported their daughter, helping her in family life. Jason did not maintain a connection with his daughters. Somehow, his ex-wife had turned them against him and actively hindered their communication. Even when their granddaughter was born, his ex-wife didn't allow Jason to see the child. Good Lord, Jason, what did you do to her? You can't imagine how much she hates you. Vera wondered. Yeah, Jason replied, but it's not about hatred. She's just incredibly annoying. Hatred is too strong a feeling, and she doesn't even deserve that. Jason had come to terms with the fact that his ex-wife and daughters had no desire to have any relationship with him. He didn't insist and left them in peace, focusing on his new life with Vera. Everything was going well for Jason, but suddenly, something unexpected happened. His ex-wife, Mary, called him. She was crying on the phone and informed him that her mother had fallen seriously ill, and she couldn't handle the situation. She didn't have a car, and it was difficult for her to reach doctors and pharmacies. She needed moral support because dealing with these difficulties was very tough. Jason asked how he could help, and Mary continued to share her problems. Jason agreed to come and help her with household tasks and medical matters. Vera was displeased with the fact that Jason was spending time and attention on his ex-family, and she expressed her dissatisfaction. Why should we suffer because of this other family? We have nothing to do there, she said. That's not true. My daughters and grandchildren are there, Jason replied. So what? Is there no one else to help except you? Vera retorted. The tone of their conversation grew tense, and they began to argue about how involved Jason should be in the problems of his ex-family. Jason felt that tension was growing between Vera and his ex-wife and found himself on the verge of a breakup between them. Finally, Vera said she was tired of the situation, and they had to cancel their planned trip to the sea due to Mary's mother's illness. This can't go on like this. I'm tired of it. Why should we suffer because of this other family? Vera said. Yeah, I'm starting to feel the same way. It's another family, and I'm tired of it. Jason agreed. I don't want to continue like this anymore. Vera asked him an important question. Do you really love me? Yes, I love you, but it's a complicated situation, Jason replied. Vera wasn't sure if Jason truly loved her, and she felt that he was spending too much time with his ex-family. The story ended predictably for Vera and unexpectedly for Jason. Shortly after their conversation, Jason found himself back at Mary's house. She allowed him to take his dog and cat with him. Although the cat remained with Vera as she had grown attached to it, they parted with Vera amicably, without scandals. Jason simply packed his things and moved back to his ex-wife. He believed it was the right decision and better for everyone. Vera stopped answering his calls and didn't open the door when he came. Over time, Vera forgot about him and started a new life, meeting a good man and living happily with him. Several years later, Mary coincidentally ran into Vera at the administration office. They chatted about their lives. Vera mentioned that she was living with a great man, while Mary confessed to the mistakes she made when marrying Jason. She revealed that Jason had learned about her past and about the child she conceived before their wedding. Vera envied her and felt sorry for how Jason's life had turned out. She realized that every person makes their choices, and that no one but themselves is responsible for their life.